Are you mixing with your speakers too loud? Find out in this video here, as we're going to discuss the reasons why you shouldn't mix with your monitors too loud, as they can cause a lot of different problems. Hello everyone, I'm Joseph from Make the Music. I help home studio musicians create the best possible music in their studios with the gear and skills they have. So if you're interested in that, hit the subscribe button down below and like the video. Anyways, let's get into the tips here. So I'm gonna bring up 3 tips and 3 reasons why you shouldn't mix with your studio monitors too loud, and why this can cause some problems and get you to create some suboptimal mixes. So number 1, why you shouldn't mix with your studio monitors too loud is it brings the room into play. We're in home studios here. We're not in professional studios. If you are, well, you can click off this video. Good for you. But if you're in a home studio environment, you're mixing with studio monitors. Okay, I'm in a room that is untreated. Okay, you can probably hear some echo in my microphone, right, as I do that, because it's an untreated room that I'm in right now. When you play music through your monitors, it's bouncing off the first reflection, the second reflection, the side of the walls, all these different places before it reaches your ear, not giving you a very objective feel for what the music is sounding like. It can boost different frequencies, it can cut weird frequencies, all sorts of things can go wrong. So when you've got it blasting up and you're making important mixing decisions, how loud the vocals should be, how bright the kick drum should be, where your guitars should sit, how much reverb and delay there should be, it starts to actually kind of smear and make it difficult for you to make those accurate choices and to actually get a mix that sounds right. So when you're blasting your monitors in your home studio, then you render out that mix, you listen to your car or your earbuds or your Beats or whatever, and you go, man, what is going on? This balance is all messed up. The vocal sounds weird. What is going on? It's because you are mixing it in a suboptimal, untreated environment. Now, there's ways to combat this. If we can turn down our monitors, we bring the rest of the room into play. Notice when I speak quieter like this, it feels more direct, right? But if I speak louder, more of the room comes into play, right? So it's the same thing with studio monitors. Doesn't mean you have to mix it so quiet that you can barely hear it. You got to be able to hear it a little, you got to be able to hear it a decent amount, but you should be able to have a conversation with someone next to you and not feel like you're straining too much. That's the volume level you should listen to. And that's just not me. That's many mix engineers, professionals, like Chris Lord Algae says, that's the level you should mix at. That's generally the opinion of these mix engineers. Not many of them mix it super loud. There's a couple other reasons I'm going to get into, but one of those is bringing the room in too much. It really can distort what you're hearing and cause a lot of issues. So if you're in an untreated room, turn it down a little more than you have it right now, and just see if that creates a positive effect in your mix. And the second reason why you shouldn't mix with your studio monitors too loud is it fatigues your ears quicker. Now, not only do we want to protect our hearing as musicians for our long-term, longevity and health, that's super important. We want to be listening to music for a long time. But 2, it actually fatigues your ears quicker and forces you to take more breaks and extended breaks. It makes you work less efficiently. Now, you should take breaks in your mixes no matter how loud you're mixing them. But the louder you mix them, the more breaks you need to take, the more your ears work to dampen the frequencies that are constantly spiking up. So it's pretty crazy how our ears are designed, right? They're designed in a way so that when there's louder frequencies, it tampers them down. And then it boosts things that are not as high. Almost like you're adding an EQ curve filter to your ears when it's too loud, because they're trying to protect themselves. So when you're mixing at a super high volume and you're doing that, you're not getting a clear picture of what's going on. So you throw room echo in there, you throw your ears trying to dampen the noise because it's too loud, and you're not getting an accurate picture at all of what's going on in your mix. And you're gonna make a lot of weird mixing decisions, and it's not gonna come out the way that you want it to. So turn it down, 1, to get rid of that room noise, and 2, to protect your ears, keep them from fatiguing. And when you're mixing at such a high level, all your mixing moves just become a smear, right? It's just like everything is so loud. You're trying to make everything louder to fight with each other. It really becomes a problem. I used to do this all the time too, so I totally understand. This applies to mixing on headphones as well. It becomes so difficult to get a clear picture of what's going on. But if you finally turn it down, it's almost like zooming out. You can see, okay, that's where the vocal is, that's where the kick drum is. When you really turn it down really quiet, you get an idea of what's actually poking up out of the mix. When everything's loud, it's difficult to judge what is going on. So turn it down, don't let your ears fatigue, and allow them to rest to get an accurate picture of what's going on. And the third reason why you should turn down your monitors when mixing and not mix too loud is that when you turn up your monitors, it actually affects what frequencies are boosted in the output. So I'm going to explain this real quick. This is called the Fletcher-Munson curve. Essentially, the louder we make a sound, the more the low and top end seem boosted and the mid-range seems not as boosted. So when we have it at a lower level, the EQ curve sits flatter. But the louder we turn up a sound, the more it seems to have top end and low end. And what is this going to do? When it seems like there's more top end and low end, we're going to cut those frequencies, right, to get balance. So what do we end up in the mix? We end up with a mid-rangey mix that doesn't have a lot of low end, doesn't have a lot of top end, right? Because, and Chris Lord-Alge explains this perfectly. He's like, when I'm mixing quietly, this is what he says, when I'm mixing quietly and I want a kick drum to stick out with top end and I'm mixing quietly, I have to really boost that EQ to get it to pop, right? Because he wants it to pop out of there. But if it's already super top endy because the speakers are turned up so loud, you're not going to make that adjustment and it's not going to fit in the rest of the cohesive mix. So with that extra bass and extra top end, you're going to end up cutting a lot of frequencies that don't need to be cut to try and make it seem like, all right, this thing's balanced super loud. But then you put it in your car, your earbuds, you take it outside your mixing environment, all of a sudden the mix is not as hyped as it should sound be. This should be. The kick drum's gone, bass guitar is gone, the vocal seems dull, and you're left wondering what exactly happened. So the Fletcher-Munson curve is real. Take that into effect and know that when you turn it down, you're going to get a more accurate and balanced picture of the EQ situation. Now, it's okay occasionally to turn up your mix really loud and get a feel for what's going on. I do that sometimes, but 90% of your mixing decisions should be made at that lower volume. Occasionally boosting it up to hear something to really zero in on something, but most of the decisions should be made there. So those are my 3 reasons why you shouldn't be mixing too loud on your monitors. Let me know. Do you mix loudly? Is it working for you? Leave a comment. I'd like to know if you disagree or if you have any other tips as well. I have some free guides. One is called the Home Studio Toolbox. It's a free guide and a free resource actually, giving a bunch of free plugins that are for mixing and production to help home studio musicians. So you should check that out in the description down below. If you're looking for some one-on-one help, I help with coaching home studio musicians get the best songs possible with the gear they have. You can find my contact information in the pinned comment down below. So thank you so much for watching. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time.